fucking scoot back a little so I guess so I don't punch the microphone. Hey, come listen to our podcast, yeah. Please listen, it's a hitch. If you don't listen to our podcast, yeah, then you are a bitch.
They picked it up too. All right, Cody, I'll do it on 1, 2, 3, and then clap.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
That sounded good to me.
Sure.
Oh, that sounded gooder than hell. That sounded gooder than hell.
Oh, we got some sweet barbecue up in here.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm trying to test our levels. Okay.
Hello.
These ladies won't want to go up into that dare house. They want to sit here and eat some of this sweet, delicious barbecue.
This sweet
Ooh.
meat.
Man.
I thought they were gonna fuck her, dude. That was gonna be awesome.
Oh.
I liked it when the old guy was sucking on her finger and he was like,
Yeah, that was hilarious.
he went,
Well, on that note, welcome to Filmoscopy Podcast, a podcast where three friends gather together to discuss a movie that one of them has chosen for that week. On this episode, we are talking about the Texas Chain Saw Massacre.
Exploitation at its finest.
That was released on October 11th, 1974. Just to clear up any confusion, because there are now 3 movies named Texas Chain Saw Massacre in some way, shape, or form.
But this one's called The Texas Chain Saw
yeah,
Massacre.
this is comedy.
Yes. And then the remake was called The Texas Chain Saw Massacre, but there's no space in between the chain and saw. And then the new one is called Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So
With the space in between.
no, I think it's just Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
What
Like
the
all-
fuck?
Joining me is Lance
Hello.
and sweet baby back rib Owen.
Wait a minute, what kind of fucking name do I get? I like how you gave Owen a name and not me, and you've known me for over 10 years, you dick.
Well, we're the ones going to eat Owen. So
Okay, yeah.
We serve together.
yeah. So, just to get into a few of the details of the movie, the film was directed by Tobe Hooper, who is also the other popular things that he directed would be Salem's Lot, the miniseries, and Poltergeist. The movie was written by Tobe Hooper and Kim Hinkle. The movie has a runtime of 83 minutes. It had a budget of somewhere between $80,000 to $140,000, and it has a box office draw of $30.9 million.
Do you have the inflation numbers? I know that's on Wikipedia.
I do not have the inflation numbers, no.
I think it was $140,000 he got for the budget, right?
Yeah, it says 80 to 140, but I'm not entirely sure.
I think it said like 140 in like today's dollars, or like maybe 2017 numbers. I can't remember. It's like $800,000 is what it would have cost, and this would have made over $100 million if you put today's inflation on it. So it did really well for such a cheaply made movie, and it's a lot better quality than the Evil Dead.
I agree, it is.
Which is made. I just say that because Evil Dead, I'm not a huge fan of it, but it was also cheaply made, and I think the cinematography in Evil Dead is shit, and that's my opinion. But like this right here, there's a lot of jumping around, but there's actually good camera work. It looks like Sam Raimi has Tourette's when he's filming the Evil Dead, just like fucking moving around. I'm like, this looks like someone trying to record a movie with a camcorder because they don't know how to do a double VCR. When they were like, ripping an old VHS tape.
Yeah.
So they would just he's like holding the camera. Shut up! I'm trying to record this movie. That's Sam Raimi.
Sit down in the front.
But it's very interesting with this movie because this, in a way, is the forgotten forefather of the mass serial killers on screen. Like this happened, but Halloween happened 3 years later, and Halloween fucking blew up.
Right.
Like this one did too, but Halloween was much better quality, and it's not as that has actually got like thought behind the story and tries to be scary, whereas this one's just like we got a bunch of cannibals, and they're going
and they're southern. The scariest thing about them.
I think a major difference between Halloween and Texas Chainsaw, I mean,
is the pretty lady mask.
Yeah, the pretty lady mask.
Was cool.
This franchise kind of struggled to get going after this. You know, like I think there are people who really love the second movie, and there are a lot of people who don't because it had more of a comedy type aspect to it. Whereas, you know, Halloween, I think it's well considered that Halloween 2 is maybe better than the first Halloween movie.
I think, let me interject real quick. I think that I prefer to watch Halloween 2 over the first Halloween, but the first Halloween was like this groundbreaking thing. Like it just spawned all these ripoffs. And the fact is, by the time Halloween 2 came out, you had already had Friday the 13th Part 2 come out. And Friday the 13th was a ripoff 2 years later after Halloween. So it was like, you know, Halloween, the fact with Halloween was it started off as, okay, the small project, and it blew up like Psycho did in 1960. But I'm trying to find the right phrasing. It was like, okay, this is the one story, this was it. But then it spawned all these ripoffs, and then Friday the 13th came along as a major ripoff. And, hold on, let me clean this off my computer, sorry. Friday the 13th was such a ripoff, but they were cashing in on it. And they just were going to make a second movie. And then Halloween people were like, well, we can do this too. So at some point, Halloween started mimicking its imposter, Friday the 13th. And Friday the 13th became like the forebearer. And then, of course, you had like, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street. But
we're hitting it with the kids with imposter. But what I was wanting to say was I feel like, and I've never seen like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so this is like completely an outsider. This is the only one I've seen.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
I feel like in a sequel and like the reason why like this couldn't really work like a franchise like slasher movies do is like, so like the killer's interesting, but the killer's only like really interesting in like a macabre kind of way, and it's like fun to like find out about the killer.
Yeah, I got you, because even in this movie, they don't really go into detail about the family too much. You don't even get their names in this movie.
Yeah,
I mean the characters in
like
the family.
The mystery and like uncovering like what the fuck they're doing out here is kind of like the appeal of the film.
Yeah, and it also, I can see how maybe like it is difficult to make sequels for this film because they're not really a traveling killer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, they stay in one place, and it just kind of depends. It's dependent on people basically by coincidence running into them.
Yeah. Leatherface isn't like a supernatural like force of destruction, like, you know, Jason or Freddy or Michael are.
Right.
And the thing is, it feels like with this movie, it's hard to do like so many sequels to a movie like this because of the gore aspect of cannibalism. And then the chainsaw, you can only do so much. Well, the first one, this pushed a lot of boundaries for it. But then like the second one came out a couple years later. The third one didn't come out till 1990. So you're looking at for like 16 years from the release of that one that they got a third one. Then they had Matthew McConaughey in some really weird one in the fourth one, which I've never watched.
Yeah, so that real quick, that's something I wanted to do was run down the sequels that this movie spawned.
Because I actually saw the third one first. That was the first movie I've ever seen. Yeah, my dad rented it. And I can't remember if I had like done really good on report cards, so he rented it on VHS. Well, no, he rented that. I think he rented me a wrestling tape. I think it may have been WrestleMania 6 or 7 that I wanted to watch. And the video store still had it. And this is like, so I'm like 8 years old. No, probably younger than that. 7 or 8. So this is like 1995, 1996. Video stores are booming. And that was the first one I watched. I remember thinking, like, I saw the runtime on it, and I didn't see the 1 hour in front of it, and I just saw 45 minutes. I thought, oh, this movie's only 45 minutes. Okay, I can deal with this bullshit. And then I got mad at the 1 hour, like, no, it's an hour 45. This is fucking shitty. But, yeah, that one is more like a typical, like, slasher movie as it tries to be. you know,
Right.
and he's more sadistic, and they wanted to make it more like that. But that was the first one I watched, and then I watched like the remake, and then I watched the prequel, and then unfortunately I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, and then that was it for me.
So real quick, the list of films in this franchise, because it has been going on since 1974. October 11th, 1974, the first movie, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, released. 12 years later, in 1986, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 released, which that one was the one that kind of had more comedic elements to it.
What year was that, Cody?
1986.
Damn, I didn't realize that was 12 years later. That's fucking nuts.
Leatherface, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, was January of 1990. Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation was in 95,
which is
and that's
technically
the one that
its own continuity too.
Yeah, and that's the one that has Matthew McConaughey in it.
All right.
You'd be a lot cooler if you did. In 2003, the reboot released, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Its prequel film, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning, released 3 years later in October of 2006. In January of 2013, Texas Chainsaw 3D released, which ignored every other movie in the franchise except for the first one, and it was a sequel directly to the first film.
That's what Halloween 2018 got its inspiration from, story-wise, that they could ignore all that.
Gotcha.
I think, of course, they did that with H2O, and they just did 1 and 2, where they're like, let's go back even further. But I think they got the idea of it from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D.
Yeah, and I think Texas Chainsaw 3D's not very liked.
But it did do gangs, but it did do a lot of money though. Not like Halloween 2018 money, but it made money that they're like, well, let's make a prequel to this, and then I know you'll talk about that.
Yeah, so the next film to release was the prequel to the original film. It was called Leatherface. That one I think is pretty mixed in the community, or in the fan community, I guess.
Have you seen that one before?
I have not seen it, but I know what like the twist is in the film.
Ooh, what is it?
He's a woman.
So, spoilers for Leatherface, if anyone listening to this is actually ever going to watch it. So, in Leatherface, like, the gist is there's this group of friends that are traveling around, and I think that they all kind of like join in on killing people and stuff, except for this one kid who's kind of like hesitant. He's really fat, and the movie like leads you to believe that he is the one that becomes Leatherface, but it's actually like the main guy of the group who's more chiseled and handsome or whatever, and his face gets smashed with like a hammer or something, and it just like shreds his face, and that's why he ends up wearing the mask. But
so
again,
I've
never
origin story.
Yeah, it's an origin story.
That's kind of dumb because I just assumed that Leatherface was like a weird, like inbred child.
Well, actually, kind of. Obviously, they didn't go into like the details in these movies, and the quote unquote. It's on Wikipedia. They have it broken down like continuity A, which is like 1, 2, 3, and then continuity B, which is like the next generation by itself, and then C, which was just like. And we got to talk about the remake in just a second. But you had the remake, but then they made a prequel to the remake, which is, okay, the guy that I've asked your name, not your name, but the name multiple times that's in that military dude that's in the Stanley Kubrick movie.
The private pile guy.
No. Emery.
Arlie Emery.
Arlie Emery. He plays the big brother in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake and prequel.
Oh, brother.
And it's like the opening scene, like they find baby Leatherface in the trash can, his mama, and she's like, "He's beautiful." And you hear Emery, you know it's him. But you see a shadow. He goes, "I think he's ugly as shit," and that's how the movie starts.
He's like, "What the fuck is that?"
I haven't seen that movie since it first released on DVD, so
yeah,
I don't really remember. I just remember the ending of it. Like, it left me confused. Because, the final girl in the film gets in a car and is like driving away, and Leatherface is like left behind in this warehouse or something, and all of a sudden he pops up in the back seat. I was like, what the fuck? Like, how did he even get to the car? But
But then the 3D thing, like they made the sequel, And they didn't want to do like another sequel, so they ended up doing the prequel Leatherface. So in that continuity, it's Leatherface, then the original, and then Texas Chainsaw 3D. Now this one is Texas Chainsaw, this one the original, and then it's this new movie.
Yeah.
So it's more convoluted than Halloween.
And the reason there's been so many like reboots and direct sequels and all that kind of stuff is because different film companies have had the rights to the movies. And so, for example, the remake continuity was made by Platinum Dunes,
and that started
which is Michael Bay's company.
But
there's a bunch of explosions.
Cody also, we'll discuss it too real quick. That the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre was so like influential. That's what started all the remake craze. So Halloween 2007.
Actually, I think I did watch the remake.
You probably did.
I remember not liking it as a kid though. I didn't think it was all that
and
good.
What's really crazy about this is, of course, at that time, like Cody said, it was made by Platinum Dunes, but it was also distributed by New Line Home Cinema. Well, like 6 months prior to that, New Line Home Cinema put out Freddy vs. Jason, which was like the last movie before all the remakes started. And then like 6 months later, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake starts. And then next thing you know, like they got plans for a Halloween remake with Rob Zombie. And then they do the prequel to this. And I mean, it's just, it was short lived, but again, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre influenced another chapter in the slasher films, like Rebirth.
Yeah. And I think Platinum Dunes themselves, like, aren't they the ones that made the Friday the 13th remake? And
yes, and
I think they may have also done the Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
They did, and here's a funny little trivia. The producer, obviously, is Michael Bay and his boys that are the producers for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. The director of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake was also the director of the Friday the 13th remake, and is also the same. Like, it's the exact same team that did the Texas Chainsaw remake, but they originally wanted the director of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre of the beginning to do the Friday the 13th movie, and he left the project, so they got the other director. So it's just kind of like that's why the Friday the 13th remake feels like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Like if you watch those two movies, they're like 6 years apart, but it's the same people. It's like this feels really similar because it's the same writers and same producers and the same director.
Yeah. Now they lost the license at some point, and Millennium Films took over, and that's the one that made the continuity of Leatherface, the original film, and Texas Chainsaw 3D. And then they lost the rights to it. So now the next movie in the franchise releases on February 18th of this year, which is going to be called Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And it is a direct sequel to the first film, and nothing else is in that timeline so far, anyway.
What were you going to say, how excited? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, I was telling Lance before we were recording, like, it's so weird that this movie is considered so, like, integral to, like, the slasher genre when really, like, I didn't notice too many things that were very, like, I mean, there is the final girl thing.
And the mask.
Yeah, there's the mask, too. But, I was telling Lance, like, usually slasher movies kind of, like, sort of put you in the eyes of the killer. Like, Friday the 13th does it, and Halloween kind of does it, to where, like, you get POV shots from the killer, or like you always know kind of like where the killer is, but the characters don't. But in this one, there's never any like point where every time you see like Leatherface, basically he just pops out of nowhere. Like the film doesn't let you like in on where the killer is if the characters don't know.
Yeah, I think that just comes with like this being kind of like the grandfather of it all. Like there was no rules yet. Yeah. Like
it's a lot more like it's a lot more like how Lance was saying the last time. I guess we were talking about this was that this feels more like a kind of grindhouse or like exploitation movie, and less of like a slasher.
Yeah, because it's really just there to try to gross you out. I did read that Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes, the original one, was like a homage to this movie, and it was only a couple years later. And that who made Alien?
Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott. I was about to say Calvin Ridley, and that's the NFL wide receiver. Ridley Scott said that Alien is Texas Chainsaw Massacre in space. That was his inspiration. Because you think about like the alien, there's no POV shots of the alien in that. It's just the alien pops up out of nowhere and fucking rapes your face. Yeah. And like this was like straight up. You know, it is a grindhouse movie to me. Like you said earlier, I think it was your words. I'm not that smart. The exploitation type of movie. But it just feels like this movie crawled so Halloween could walk, and then Friday the 13th can make all the money.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of like.
Now I will say, and I know Lance, you've seen the remake.
Yeah.
I still prefer the remake over this. Because this movie suffers from a lot of things that like horror movies in the 70s and early 80s suffer from, where some scenes just go on for too long. And it kind of like, for example, at the end when she's tied up in the house and, the dinner scene and she's
them
screaming.
making faces and doing that shit was kind of annoying.
Yeah, and all that stuff.
I think they were trying to make the audience feel uncomfortable. But
well, that's what I was going to say. Like, at first, that scene, it made me feel uncomfortable. But as it went on, I just became more and more just, like, annoyed by it. Like, okay, come on. Like, we get it. Let's get to the next scene here, you know?
I was telling Lance before we started recording, there's, like, parts in this movie where, like, all the noise just kind of started. And I mean, I guess this might be because I was having a bad morning or something. So maybe if this movie caught me on a good day, it'd be a lot better. But but there was some sections in this where like there's just so much noise, and it gave me like a headache.
Oh yeah, I mean, I understand
her yelling.
that.
I mean, this is like straight up like Owen was saying earlier. Like again, everybody who listens to us, our best conversations usually come before and after we hit record. Because we're trying. The thing is, when we're just like rattling off shit and not thinking about it, we're fucking gold, like comedy gold and like information gold. Then we try to sit here and try to formulate our thoughts into an actual conversation when we record. This movie, like the shot where the one chick falls into the room, you see all like the bird feathers and there's bones. It's like the Ed Gein room, I call it. You know, and she's just like looking around. It's like that takes forever. Then she starts like and just starts like coughing and like screaming, and then she gets
chicken and stuff too going.
Which that went a little too far for me. Not far too long. That shot.
Yeah, one of the cool things about that sequence though was just where kind of this movie shines in the set design. Like the bones and all the little like weird effigies and shit are just amazing. Like that shit is awesome.
That's something I was thinking about when I was watching it. Is like it does a very good job of making you believe like this family has been doing this for decades. Yeah. You know, it's not like
it feels real. Like,
yeah, and it also gives the impression like these people don't care that they're doing this. You know, like the dad or whatever. I'm assuming the cook is Leatherface and the hitchhiker's father. It's
either father or older brother. I think it's implied in the next movie that he could have fucked his sister and or mother, and then they had. It's really fucked up. Like they referred to like their mother as their sister as well in one of the movies. Stooges. Maybe the third movie they're like that. Yes, the Three Stooges. But it's just like very inbred, you know, redneck, and it's like the whole Ed Gein thing. Like which when we've covered Psycho 2, and I've talked about Ed Gein's influence on the Norman Bates character. Ed Gein, if Ed Gein was intellectually challenged, he would be Leatherface, because Ed Gein did have a pretty woman suit he made out of skin. He was the one digging up dead bodies.
I wonder if Ed Gein knew how much he influenced like movies.
I don't think he cared. Like,
he probably didn't give a fuck, but still.
Well, when somebody burned down his mom's house, like he was in jail, like obviously incarcerated, and he burned down the house, and they asked for his reaction, and he was just kind of shrugged his shoulders. He goes, "Might as well be gone," or something like that. Of course, he's Wisconsin. He wouldn't sound redneck like me. Yeah. But
he'd be like, hey.
Get her done.
Oh, hey there, bud. It's a shame that my house got burned down, eh?
I guess I have to wear you as a skin suit, eh?
Real quick, Cody, I would have to agree. You know, my spoiler alert, I'm going to recommend this movie because it's only 83 minutes. Mm-hmm. And even though some of the scenes dragged on, it did. And I do feel like Leatherface, his scenes, he didn't wear out his welcome. Like there's sometimes you get to the point, like my problem with a lot of the Conjuring movies is I get like spooked because I'm already like in the mood of the movie, but by the end of the movie I'm just kind of like, oh, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah,
like
usually the end of those movies they like kind of jump the shark.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I've seen the Marilyn Manson nun in The Conjuring 2 too much. She's not scary at the end of the movie to me. And like this movie, Leatherface was scary until the end, and I had seen the ending scene where she's running out of the house on a DVD set called Boogeymen. That I don't know if it was a Walmart exclusive or whatever, but it was like clips of all these like the quote unquote masters of horror. They had a Friday the 13th movie, which for some reason the Friday the 13th movie they used was Jason Goes to Fucking Hell. And then they had like scene from Halloween. It was really cool, but that was the first experience I had with Leatherface was that. Other than I had watched the Texas Chain Saw Massacre Part 3 first before I'd seen that. But the fact that he had like 3 different masks in this movie, like his regular mask, like the old woman mask, and then the pretty lady mask. Like he's like Mama's little helper, which is, it's pretty cool. Yeah, the whole family's just all fucked up. And Grandma, which is that skeleton they have in the house, I read this up, is actually their great grandmother. So she's even older than Grandpa, who's 124 years old.
Yeah, when we were watching it this morning, Stephanie when they bring Grandpa down the stairs and have him drink her blood. She's like, what in the world? I thought he was dead. I was like, yeah, the effects aren't very good. I mean, it's a younger guy in a suit, and they didn't have a high budget to make him look old. He did look dead.
That's one of the few effects that I think has aged poorly in this.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Grandpa's supposed to be 124 years old at this point.
What?
That's the character. He's supposed to be, and they keep him alive by letting him drink the blood of the victims they're about to do. Because, I mean, obviously the gas station where the older brother / father, or what the fuck he is, runs it. They sell the human barbecue to people that don't know any better. I remember hearing that from my grandma when she would always tell me. So my grandmother got me into like the horror movies, or she was trying to indoctrinate me to the horror movies. And I asked about, because I mean, it was one of those things I was curious about. Jason and Michael, those are her favorites. And then we started talking about this, and my Uncle Bubba would always. I sound real redneck there, my Uncle Bubba.
Uncle Bubba Sawyer.
Yes. And we got to talk about the family name changing every continuity too. He would always talk about like Leatherface, and I would always ask him. They would say about the human barbecue thing, and I was just like, I'm not big on cannibalism. Like that shit grosses me out. Watching this movie, I was a little queasy. I had to quit eating my Domino's pizza.
Well, you just haven't tried it yet.
Piss off, Cody.
Delicious.
But yeah, like in the family name, like their names are Sawyer in this, right, Cody?
Yeah. Well, I don't think they.
The third movie they like established the name of Sawyer's.
I didn't remember them mentioning it.
I think on the sign at the gas station it says like Sawyer Barbecue or something up on the sign.
Okay.
But I think that's the only reference to their name,
They're
period, in this movie.
They're big Rush fans.
And well, they got in like the remake continuity, they're like the Hewitt family. His name is Thomas Hewitt. And what was really cool, I didn't realize this, and Cody may remember this. I can't remember what song it was. It was a Slipknot song off of Volume 3. And it sounded like, the beginning of the song sounded like a tape recorder. Like, kind of like, swiveling. And it also sounded like the sound, if you watch the trailer to this movie and the trailer to the remake, they make that, like, that, because it's like taking pictures of a crime scene.
Yeah.
And it sounded like, it always reminded me of that Slipknot song in the intro. I can't remember what fucking song it is.
Yeah, I can't think of it off the top of my head.
But that's what it always reminded me of. And like this, if you watch the trailer of this movie, they do that. And I didn't realize how much they actually took in the remake. Because I've seen the remake, and I always just assumed that it was a lot different than the original. But it's really similar. Like, she runs into the gas station, she runs into him, he takes her back.
Yeah, there are some changes. Like one of the big changes, and I guess if you were someone who had seen the original and then went and saw the remake, it would be sort
blasphemous,
of like
probably
a bit. Well, that or like a big like, oh shit, like things are going to be different here. Is the hitchhiker, because in this film the hitchhiker's picked up, and he's obviously off, and he ends up attacking one of them, and they end up kicking him out of the van. And later on, you find out that he's a member of the family. But in the remake, the hitchhiker is a female that had escaped the family, and they pick her up, and she ends up killing herself in the van. And that is sort of the catalyst for that film, because they stop at the gas station to try and get help.
And the thing is, the older brother, they don't run a gas station in the remake. He's acting as the quote unquote sheriff, because everybody in the town's gone. You find that out in the prequel. He's acting as a sheriff. He has a different name and all that shit. He's wearing the name tag.
Yeah, I think in the prequel he kills the sheriff, right? And
yeah,
basically just assumes the role.
Well, it's just funny because they're going, and the guy's like, "I'm the only thing resembling law in this town. We got to pick up that retard brother of yours." And then he goes, "He's not retarded, sheriff. He's just a little different." And then it was just funny. He goes out there. He goes, "Thomas," because like Thomas had killed the owner of the slaughter shop with the sledgehammer, and he's carrying the sledgehammer. He's like, "Thomas, you're gonna have to put that down now." And then Emery gets out of the car and goes, I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Sheriff." The sheriff turns around and he blows his fucking head off. And he goes, "Holy shit. I just killed the fucking sheriff."
This is stupid.
But it's hilarious though. Emery makes those movies.
Yeah, he's great.
And this sound audio, like this file you're gonna have, this part, Cody, is so fucking loud you're gonna have to like turn it down.
You're gonna have to boost me and then like turn Lance down.
Fun. So real quick, just an interesting fact, because I don't know, I don't think it will have a natural way to squeeze it in. This film,
we gotta put a little lube on it first. Hold on a second.
This film was originally had the working titles of Leatherface and Head Cheese, which Head Cheese, I'm assuming is just because they have that discussion in the van with the hitchhiker about.
Well, I think the
cheese.
hitchhiker has the discussion. They're just like, "What the fuck is going on?"
What was the conversation?
Because he was boiling the cow heads, not wasting anything. And it's the head cheese.
Franklin's like, "Oh, I didn't know it was made of that. I like head cheese." You know, he's like talking about, "I like it. It tastes good.
I like getting some head cheese." You know what I'm saying?
So, last thing I wanted to mention about, just from the fact list here, this movie has a Rotten Tomato score of 89%. Now, all of the reviews started in 2000, I guess.
But this thing had like shitty reviews when it came out, though.
Oh,
it was called gross, and of course, I mean, that's what it is. Everybody looks at because this, like I said, it is kind of like a grandfather.
A lot of pearl clutching at the time, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, and it's like, it's this, like I said, this movie was like a grandfather of a genre that was up and coming. Because I mean, this wasn't like, I don't even know what movie would have came out at the time, like Escape from the Planet of the Apes or whatever it was be at the time. This was like coming out at the same time.
Yeah,
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
That's
way later. I know.
I know, but I was about to say another movie from outer space that Owen knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I can't say that one.
That's a good one.
But like, shit. I mean, Star Wars came out in 1977 for perspective. Like, Star Wars comes out 3 years later.
Yeah,
and which is like nuts to think about, like the age of this thing. And
and like you said, it's impressive because this movie, it does hold up a lot better than the first Evil Dead. Yeah. I like the Evil Dead franchise, but I would rather watch this over the first Evil Dead if given the choice,
And I think watching like this, like watching it the first time is like difficult because obviously the gore and stuff like that. I'm not into the gore porn. Like,
this movie, going into it, because I had never seen this movie before watching it for this, but going into it, like, I always hear people talk about the excessive amount of gore and all that, and there's not really a lot of gore in this movie.
Yeah, it's pretty subdued. I mean, there's some cuts and stuff, but like,
and there's like toward the end, like Sally is drenched in blood, but there's nothing like in the remake, for example, where you see people's like someone's leg get cut off, and
and the remake is definitely like exploitive, like even more than this. Like the chick that he was talking about, the hitchhiker in the remake, she kills herself because she has a gun hidden in her vagina. She reaches down in her crotch, pulls out the gun. Yeah,
that's like so fucking like that's like some Rob Zombie kind of shit.
That's some Michael Bay bullshit. Yeah, and she pulls out the gun out of her vagina and then blows her fucking brains out in the back of their van. They're like, "What the fuck?"
She had a gun in her pussy.
And the camera like shot like pans, or it rolls through like the hole in her head. I can't remember if it goes like from the
Yeah.
back to the
That's
front
so
or
fucking gratuitous and stupid.
It is. That's what they do, and that's like Jessica Alba's like. I don't think it's Jessica Alba. It's one of the chicks that dated Justin Timberlake. I can't remember her name. She's in the name. She's the main chick in that movie.
I think
You
it
know
might
who
be
I'm talking
Jessica
about?
Alba.
Do what?
Hold on, I'm pulling it up. I think it might be Jessica Alba.
I don't know if it's. I don't think it's Alba.
It's funny because
No, Jessica Biel.
Jessica Biel. Okay.
In comparison, the worst thing in this movie is just seeing like Leatherhead get his like leg cut by his own chainsaw.
Yeah, I mean, in
Yeah.
hindsight, like if I could watch it again, I wouldn't be grossed out as I was because, like I said, I'm not into. And the thing is, like,
It's the
end of the world as we know it. Sorry.
it's the like it's the implication of like the gore that really gets you, I think.
Yeah.
In this one.
And whereas in like Halloween, it's the implication of like the terror, like he's stalking them and all that. And in this movie, it's like the gore is what it's implying.
Yeah.
Of course, obviously, you know, the movies. And the funny thing was, the fucking director was trying to get a PG rating for this movie, and he got an R rating. He was like distraught. They had to cut so much shit to even get the R rating because he had so much shit in it. Like there's a deleted scene when Hitchhiker gets run over by the truck. You see his fucked up jaw hanging off his mouth. And the second movie, Hitchhiker is embalmed and used as a human puppet.
I laughed out loud when the hitchhiker got ran over by the truck.
Well, you can tell like when he gets run over, you can tell it's like just like a suit stuffed with straw.
Yeah,
you
but
know,
I
because
mean, even in like even what it was implying in like real life that the guy got hit by a truck made me laugh. I don't know why.
And in the second movie, he has a twin brother. They call him Chop Top. And he has a metal plate in his head. And what he does, he takes a metal hanger and will heat it up and will scrape the dead flesh off his head and eat it. And there's like certain areas where he'll hit it. And it says if he hits the right spot, he'll get off. Because I read all this shit up. My uncle always laughed talking about Chop Top. But
so that's an interesting thing. You just jarred my memory
with the
on.
jerking off part?
Yeah, getting off.
Yeah, that part. Kim Hinkle, you know, the co-writer of the film, which I think Kim Hinkle actually was the main writer. He said in an interview recently that he had plans for a lot more family members in the movie, but due to budget and time constraints, a lot of them had to be cut out. And he later on, in later movies, introduced them as members of the family. And also, some of his scrapped ideas will be showing up in the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game.
Interesting.
Which I should mention this. I want to mention this movie had a Atari 2600 game based on it, and if you get the chance, look up gameplay on YouTube. It looks like, awful.
It's one of the it's a terrible game. I think it's one of the only Atari games besides like the Halloween game that has gore in it.
Yeah,
which is pretty impressive that it actually got a game. Just to think about the impact of this movie.
Yeah. Well, you also got to think, and we could have a whole hour-long discussion about the history of Atari, but pretty much anything and everything was being made for the Atari. I mean, just ridiculous amounts of games. There were porn games made for the Atari.
Hold on a second. Wait a minute.
It's really hard to jack off to them. Trust me, guys.
There's like one of the most infamous games.
Isn't that when you stick the control up your ass and then you do it?
Yeah, you pilot the fucking dick with your ass.
Yeah, one of the most infamous games for the Atari 2600 was like something. It's something about George Custer. Or something.
Yeah, it's called Custer's Revenge.
Custer's Revenge. Yeah.
You're trying to dodge arrows and you're trying to get to this naked Indian lady so you can fuck her.
Yeah,
it's the most like offensive thing.
Yeah, it's horrible. But
that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the podcast. We can't go any higher than that moment.
They outdid us before we even started.
Real quick, Cody, before we get into the movie.
Hold on, real quick. And like I said, you know, it did have an Atari 2600 game based off of it, and now they haven't set a release date or year even, but there is a Friday the 13th style asymmetrical game, multiplayer game based off of the first movie, is what they've said, with the addition of other family members releasing. So it's also made by the same studio that made the Friday the 13th game, Gun. So
yeah, that's really weird because so Leatherface is in Dead by Daylight, which is like I think the game that kind of started all this like asymmetrical.
Well, that came out in 2016. They had been planning the Friday the 13th game for a while, right, Cody?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Kickstarter for the Friday the 13th game was a year or two before that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because the Friday the 13th. Here's the thing: Dead by Daylight is shit. Like, you look at the quality. I'm seeing like the quality of Michael Myers and like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm like, this shit sucks. Friday the 13th is like miles better, and that game came out a year later, and it's already been discontinued. And then, of course, the people who made Friday the 13th also made the Predator game, which we will no longer reference because I suck at. And it looks incredible too. So I'm curious to see how that looks. I was thinking, my first thought when Cody goes, it's the same people that's making the Friday the 13th game made this. I'm like, oh, cool. So we can play it, and you guys can outdo me too, and I suck at this game.
Well, and let's be clear, because there were two teams
Lance
that
is
worked
not
on
good at this.
Friday the 13th game. There was Gun Media and Ilphonic. Ilphonic, I think, went off to work on
Predator. They did Predator.
Yeah, and Gun Media has been working on this Texas Chainsaw Massacre game ever since. So
Friday the 13th is like the unnamed Namekian, and then like Predator is Piccolo Dormammu, and then this is like Kami, right, Cody? That's a Dragon Ball Z reference.
Yeah,
or it's like Boo, and then Kid Boo and Fat Boo, and then Oob at the end. You know what I'm talking about, Cody. Cody knows what's up.
And then Blue Goku.
I hope he comes back as a great warrior. And his name is just spelled backwards.
And then Goku runs off like, I'll go live with you for 10 years to train you. This is going to be great. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I won't even train my own son.
This is so stupid. Yeah, that's Dragon Ball Z. Anyway, all right, Cody, let's get to your movie, sir.
Okay, so instead of going beat for beat for the plot, I thought a good idea for this episode would be to talk about the different characters in the movie.
And talk about our feelings and how sexually aroused we were by the brothers.
Yes, but I think we can hit a lot of plot points just by talking about the characters. So, let's start with the final girl, Sally Hardesty. She's played by Marilyn Burns, who sadly passed away in 2014 at the age of 65. Sally's character will be in the new movie, obviously played by a different actress. But
shut up, Cody. Cody's like, obviously a different actress. No. It's not like, I haven't seen it in the new Ghostbusters movie where they had like a CGI Harold Ramis.
They did that for Star Wars too with the Carrie Fisher CGI.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Carrie Fisher, they CGI'd it on somebody's face. Like, this was like a full CGI ghost of him.
They did it for the guy who played Grand Moff Tarkin too. But I think that's full CGI.
Yeah, in Rogue One it is. They did like a prosthetic makeup in like the 2005 Revenge of the Shit.
Yeah.
And it looked terrible, but like, yeah. But that's what they're doing now, but it's just like this whole like fucking... Well, what is that thing you said, Cody, like fans were hoping Linkin Park would do? Like a hologram?
Tupac.
Of Chester?
Oh, yeah, like a weird... Like, they go on tour, but they would use holograms of Chester, and I guess backed by like audio recordings from other live performances or something.
Yeah, and that's what that's what they were kind of thinking. It's like maybe that's what they were. Like, that's what Cody sounded like. Obviously, it's a different woman. I'm like, no, okay, they're going to do the hologram.
And then y'all just backed up my point because it's not going to be some actress with a CGI'd face,
Yeah, I don't think that. I don't see any film doing that until like CGI technology gets like really good. Then we can have like fucking, God, who's that big actor?
John Goodman?
No, the one from
John Candy.
50s and 40s and shit.
John Candy.
What the fuck are you talking about, Owen?
Like the big buff dude who's like in fucking all those World War II movies.
Cary Grant?
No.
Babe Ruth.
He's like also a cowboy.
Henry Fonda?
John Wayne.
Yeah, John Wayne. So like in 2060,
he wasn't fat. Well, maybe he was.
Fit.
Fit. I think he said fat. Yeah. Wrong vowel in there.
So in 2060. Get ready for like movies where we have John Wayne in his prime starring in them.
This thing real quick. I don't know anything about this stuff, and I gotta ask Cody about NFTs. The deep fake shit. What is that?
They just like put a picture of somebody's face over like another person's face, and like it matches their movements and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, spoiler alert, in the Mandalorian show and in the Book of Boba Fett, Luke Skywalker shows up, and they de-age Mark Hamill for his scenes, but people are doing shit online, like deep faking it and making his face look even better, and it's like, okay, you guys should have just like done this instead of this like really bad CGI.
Well,
like,
I think
de-aging.
isn't the rumor now for the Book of Boba Fett?
Oh, nope. We got one episode left. Shut up, Cody.
Book of Boba
Okay.
Venus.
Anyway, let's get back to the cast.
Hey, what is an NFT?
Oh gosh. Okay, so an NFT is a non-fungible token.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that even mean?
It means it's like a hat. It's basically like a URL that you can own.
I don't know the fuck a URL is.
It's like a website. It's like a little fucking like internet website that you can own that says that you own an image.
So basically, an NFT is like a bastardization of the crypto market, where people do this weird stuff. Like, for example, you see like all the ape pictures on Twitter,
maybe
on profile pictures, and basically people go and they buy these pictures, and they own the picture, and there's a blockchain that is basically something to reflect that this specific person owns the rights to this image or whatever.
But they don't have the physical copy.
Yeah.
No.
The physical copy doesn't exist.
So if you wanted it yourself, you just right click.
Jesus Christ.
And people pay, like, no joke, like tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars for this shit.
Did one go for like almost $1 million or something?
Yeah. Well, Eminem has one on his profile, and he paid like over $100,000 for it or something.
So is all this kind of like a waste?
Yeah,
basically.
It's like a Ponzi scheme or some shit.
Yeah.
I mean, this sounds like me buying like the Friday the 13th game and Predator game and only playing it like 3 times to stop it because I suck. And it's like, well, at least I have it. This feels like that. So, okay, if I buy an NFT, can I get like NFT.org? Since you said it's a URL too.
It's not exactly that. I was trying to like.
He was trying to simplify it.
Yeah, basically.
So you're saying I'm stupid?
Well, no, I'm just saying that you don't know.
No, you said well after I said that. Like, well.
No, I just mean like, you know, it is kind of a hard concept to grasp if you don't know, like, I don't know, like.
There's a lot of
bullshit.
There's a lot of issues with NFTs. Like, they're an environmental hazard for one, because people
they don't exist though.
Yeah, it has something to do with like, so to create the blockchain, you have to use like a bunch of servers, and like it takes up a shit ton of power. It's the same deal with like mining crypto. You're creating like blockchains and shit.
Yeah,
and it takes like so much fucking energy.
Yeah, and there's that, and the fact that like people can literally just make an NFT out of whatever. Like, you could literally like right click and save one of those stupid 8 pictures and then draw a mustache on it and just sell it as your own thing. You know? Like, so there's like artist integrity is ruined through this, and it's just,
what about,
to me,
is it actual
like
real money, or
waste.
people just like trading crypto for this?
People are using crypto to buy it, but I mean, obviously you have to use real money to obtain the crypto. So, and people are like, well, crypto is the future. You know, crypto will always be protected. No, the fuck it won't. If the value of the dollar goes away, then your crypto is fucking useless.
Yeah, crypto is only valuable because like these people are trying to convince other people that it's valuable. Is basically like the entire basis of it.
Yeah, and it's just, again, like Owen said, it just comes off like a giant Ponzi scheme, and not worth it. Obviously, the gaming community has like very much rejected it. Every time a game company comes out and says, "Well, we're putting NFTs in our games," and everyone's like, "Go fuck yourself." And a lot of them will immediately be like, "Well, we changed our mind." Unless you're like Ubisoft, who's like, we still are going to proceed with our Ubisoft quartz. It's like, all right, let's see how that works out for you.
Yeah, I hate like all crypto shit. Like all that shit it's ruined like the price of graphics cards, and it's like, I don't know, all that shit is just it's bad for the environment, and like
crypto bros just come off like the biggest douchebags on the planet.
Yeah, they're like, yo, bro, like, you're just not thinking ahead, man. You
see, bro, I jumped into the metaverse yesterday and bought this fucking hat, and I own it now. You know, I paid $500,000 for this fucking hat in the metaverse.
You're just mad because you didn't get on it back in like 2012 when no one fucking heard about it. So,
okay, real quick question, guys. So, NFT is not a physical item you can buy, and you're buying it with a monies that is actually more expensive to buy because the crypto market just crashed, right?
No, it didn't just crash. Crypto's still doing fine.
I thought it was
Well,
crashing.
it depends. Like it's like you can look at like crypto like stock.
Yeah.
So it fluctuates in value. But the point is, all these people that are screaming from the rooftops that it's going to be like the new form of currency it's just bullshit. Because again,
it's not
if the
backed
value,
by anything.
yeah, it's like if the value of real world money collapses, then crypto collapses because it's not fucking worth anything. It's only worth what people are willing to pay for it,
Gotcha. Okay, real quick question. So NFT isn't really real.
Yeah.
No, it's not real.
You're just buying like this little code that says that you own this image.
Yeah, and then if you tell someone who owns the image that you're going to right click and save it, they get very pissed off. So Sally Hardesty is the final girl in the film. She is on a road trip with her friends and her brother. Her brother is played by Paul Partain, and his name is Franklin.
And I like how they call it in the scroll, like the Star Wars scroll at the beginning of this movie. They call her brother invalid.
Yeah, I had to actually look
he's
it
crippled.
up. I had to look it up because I didn't know.
That's what they called
meant.
disabled people back then.
It's
right?
An outdated term.
Well, I don't know. It sounds like I want to bring it back. We'll call it Patrick invalid.
Invalids.
Hey, Patrick, are you an invalid, sir? It's just fucked up. I apologize.
They also have. There's three friends with them. Kirk, played by William Vale. Jerry, played by Alan Danziger. And
Danzig.
Danziger.
Hey, real quick, who's the guy that looks like Andrew Garfield?
That would be.
That's the first dude that got killed and smacked with a hammer at the beginning. He walked in the house.
That's Kirk. Yeah.
Okay, it's Kirk. He kind of look like Andrew Garfield?
I didn't really see it.
Pull it up, Cody. Pull up this picture and then pull up. Just type in Kirk from that and then Andrew Garfield.
We're like Joe Rogan. Like, Cody, pull this up for me.
I mean, yeah, he kind of looks like Andrew Garfield.
In this movie, he does. I'm not saying like all. Wait, what's the dude's name again on this movie? Kirk what?
Well, he doesn't have a last name. It's just Kirk. The actor's name is William Vale.
Captain Kirk.
Kirk, Jerry, and Pam aren't actually given last names in the film. And Pam is played by Terry McMinn. So we know, Kirk and Pam are dating, and they are the first two to be killed. I actually kind of had a brief moment of hope that maybe like Pam would escape somehow because he just, he put her up on the hook or whatever. And, she witnesses him cutting up Kirk for the next morning's barbecue. And, whenever, Jerry finds her in the freezer and opens it up and she sits up, it's like, oh, maybe like she'll actually try and escape, but it's just Leatherface coming back in and like shoving her back down in the freezer. It's like, oh, okay.
There's a lot of from Leatherface too. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and so they could go off like, Kirk and Pam go off to go swimming in the watering hole, but it's all dried up.
Okay, here a real quick question. Question. Okay, the movie starts out, they're going to the cemetery just to make sure their granddad hasn't been dug up for some fucking reason. And they go to the house that their dad owns, which looks like it has not been lived in fucking years. Like, there's no mention of what happened to their dad and all that stuff. And they're just like, we're going to go out to the swimming hole. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? This house doesn't have any fucking windows in it.
Their dad was probably eaten by the neighbor.
Yeah, and like they're like it's on the same fucking property as the. You remember? Owen's looking at me like I'm all stupid.
Yeah, no, I remember.
No, you don't. You're drooling. You're a mess. Look at you. That's like your third hot dog since we started this recording.
Yeah, stop.
You got mustard on your fucking collar. Come on, you're a fucking
Lance
mess.
Pulls out a handkerchief and gently dabs the mustard away.
The house is on the same property as the Sawyer house.
Yeah, they're like literally just like a walk away. He's like, we don't have strangers around here.
Okay, and here's the thing. There's a lot, I would say, borderline almost too much of a hey, let's go explore this nature to these kids. Like, he goes up there and he sees, like, buried in, like, this big-ass, like, military fishnet are all these fucking cars from past victims. Obviously, you don't know past victims. And he hears a generator going, we can get gas from them. And it's like, let's go up to this person's house. And he knocks on the door and walks into the fucking house. I'm like, holy shit, no wonder Leatherface fucking killed the motherfucker. If he just knocked, he would have been okay.
Yeah.
Leatherface is a 13-year-old playing Call of Duty, just camping behind the door, waiting for people to come through.
Yeah, he was fucking spawn camping. In the state of Texas, technically, what Leatherface did was legal because he entered his home. So
I don't think it's legal to cook them and eat them, though.
Look, I mean, he already killed them. So.
Well, Cody, let me ask you something. You see their whole fucking family, you see how invalid the whole family is? That's the only thing they can make money off of.
Well, how do they make money when they kill everybody that comes through the town? You know.
Well, the thing is, like, they sell the barbecue.
Yeah.
And this whole family has to be inbred because that little fucking window washer that's got like the really bald, he's like balding, he's got red hair. He has to be part of the family too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
You know, and the thing is, it's such a stark like contrast to the older brother or dad, whatever the fuck he is. Like, he seems like a normal guy warning them not to go back there. He's like, yeah, you don't want to go back there. You know, it'd be a bad thing. And then later on, when he knocks out the main girl with the broom handle, he's over here, like, poking her with the broom as she's driving. He goes, I hope you're okay down there. He's over here laughing.
He's being like a dick.
Well, he's also, like, fucking, like, you see the insanity coming through. Yeah. Like, he's crazy.
It did kind of make me uncomfortable when he was doing that. Because I was like, damn, that feels kind of real.
Speaking of the broom... You know, she grabs the knife, right? And he sneaks up and swats the knife out of her hand.
He doesn't sneak up. He's like creeping up on her, and she sees him like full flame. But it surprises her because he smacks it out of her hand with the broom. I'm like, why hasn't anybody else ever done this in a movie since?
Here's the thing: it's like, okay, that's fine, that's believable. But then he starts whacking her with the end of the broom, like the sweeping part of the broom. It's like, why are you just standing there? Like, why not do something, you know?
My favorite part is he's comforting her and goes, no one's going to get you, you're fine. And he backs the truck up and he comes in with a big potato sack going, it's going to be okay now. She's like, oh, no.
He pulls the rope out, like, right in front of her. That's another thing. It's like, well, what are you doing?
Like, you could have, like, I don't know, knocked her out or something. And then he's like, oh, now, hold on. This is going to be a lot easier now. You need to calm down. Like, okay, you don't do this when you're actually, like, chasing an animal. Like, okay, look, I'm going to put on this orange jacket, Mr. Deer, and then you're not going to see me, and then I'm going to shoot you, okay? That's not how that works. But, yeah, I mean, this whole family. And then I think this dude's more invalid than Leatherface, the hitchhiker, which, okay, this shit was whole fucking weird. And the amazing thing to me is, you know, he cuts himself and then he cuts her brother with a switchblade. And then he really gets out of the van quickly for somebody that, I don't know, it's fucking weird. And then he makes some kind of like fucking ritual mark on the side of the van. They're like,
I was thinking the mark on the van would play more of a part in it. Like maybe like him marking the van was like going to be a sign to the other family members, like these are people that you need to like track down or whatever. But with the exception of Franklin freaking out about it, you know, and wondering if they were going to follow him, they never really do anything else with that mark on the van.
To be honest with you,
it's funny. It's funny. Franklin seems to be like the smartest one when it comes to being in this situation.
I don't know, Cody. Did you see him try to piss in that coffee can at the beginning of the movie?
And then
when the car, I don't know, honks a horn and hits the mud of the van, he's like, "Brrr!" And he just like fucking does a fucking swanton bomb onto the fucking hill and starts rolling down. It's like, this dude ain't that smart either. He's pretty invalid.
I'm more pointing out the fact of, like, you know, they get to the house, they see the mark on the van, he's like freaking out. He's like, maybe we should leave. We don't need to be here. We don't need to do this. Don't go over there. You know, let's leave them behind. And everyone else is just like, well, I'm gonna go search for everybody in the pitch black dark.
Isn't he? No. Isn't he the dumbass that kept honking the fucking van horn in the middle of the night when they're trying to get everybody's attention? Oh, and by the way, they don't have keys. And by the way, he left the fucking lights on the van. And here's another thing. How is Hitchhiker smart enough to even make a fucking symbol with blood on his fucking hand in the first fucking place? They probably thinking, that looks like a satanic ritual. He's probably putting a fucking smiley face because he's fucking stupid.
Well, you got to assume, if they would have done more with the mark, I mean, it could have just been him smearing his blood on the van just for the hell of it.
Because he's invalid. I've been saying this.
If they would have played more into it, I mean, my assumption was that this is something they do regularly. They get people that are traveling through the town and use him as basically a decoy or whatever, or a mark, to get him to indicate who they need to capture. But again, it doesn't play out that way. They don't do anything with the mark. Everyone's killed because they basically walk up to the Sawyer's front door. Again, it's like we were talking about earlier on. The Sawyers don't go seeking out anybody. These people just basically stumble into the situation.
All of them did. And, okay, I will say this. Okay, that motherfucker, when he gets hit in the head, Andrew Garfield, when he gets hit in the head with the hammer, he does it violently shaking. I mean, that's pretty good acting. I know that had been exhausting. And I got to give Gunnar Hansen, the guy who plays Leatherface, a lot of credit. Because him running around with that fucking chainsaw and him being a heavyset dude, because I'm heavyset, that ain't easy. And, the whole thing is the scenes that kept going on for so long is the chase through in the woods. And it's pretty obvious when they're doing the shots, they're hoping he cuts through the twigs that are grown over, that he's going to cut through them quicker. And obviously it takes a little bit longer because, hell, he's running around doing this shit probably all fucking night and he's fucking tired. But that scene was impressive from a physical standpoint to me because it's okay, this dude's obviously heavy set. It's not like he's wearing a fat suit. Chainsaws are not fucking easy, and they're not light to carry, and they also get gunked up pretty fucking easy too. So I imagine they had a lot of trouble with it with the filming, and then him cutting through it and having to chase her because she's laying down on the floor on the ground, waiting for him to get closer for her to run off again. It's this scene's going a little too far. Not too far, but too fucking long. But that's impressive right there.
You know what else ain't easy?
Our new sponsorship.
Being cheesy.
Talking about head cheese. Today we're going to be talking about dick cheese from Blue Chew, everybody.
Speaking of head cheese, this episode's brought to you by Sawyer's Barbecue.
Sawyer's Barbecue.
Finest head cheese around.
And I make some blue cheese out of it. He's like, I love blue cheese.
And I thought sorry, go ahead, Cody, my bad. The whole killing the cows part.
Yeah, we can go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, well, it was funny because, Franklin, the invalid brother of the girl, not the invalid family, is talking about, how they used to kill him, smack them in the head with a sledgehammer. Yeah. They do it a better way now. They got the little air gun goes right in their head. He keeps talking about it. I'm like, okay, it sounds like somebody at work that's really annoying to me. That just keeps going on when you just tell them to shut the fuck up. It's Anthony and Patrick sometimes. Yeah. But when they pick up Hitchhiker, he goes, they're always better. A sledgehammer. I'm like, oh my God, we're back to this.
So Cody, is this movie? I have something to ask. Is this movie trying to make a point about butchering cows?
Yeah. So actually, one of the themes of the movie, it's supposed to be a pro-vegetarian film.
It's the ultimate vegetarian movie, is what Siskel and Ebert said, or some shit.
Yeah. It's the idea is basically you're putting the humans in the position of livestock, and I guess. In a way, it's these are sentient creatures, and cows are also sentient creatures, so you wouldn't like it if humans were slaughtered for meat, so why do we like it if cows are slaughtered for meat?
Because it tastes good. It tastes gooder than hell.
It tastes good, boy. Just like that human meat.
Yeah. There was something else about that.
He talks about the head cheese in the van, too.
Yeah, burning it off his head. They don't waste anything.
The tendons and ligaments and everything and they make it into head cheese.
Ugh,
Oh,
I
didn't
have to
know
look
that's
that
what
up.
was in.
No, we ain't gonna look that up. It's fine.
He's
Don't look
like,
it up
oh,
right
I
now.
didn't know that's what was in
I ain't
head
gonna look at it because
cheese.
it's kind of fucking gross. I was planning on getting me a few cheeseburgers before I went home. Anyway.
Get some head cheese.
Shut the fuck up.
A cheeseburger.
You know, there was something else. I'm like, you know, this is why you don't ever pick up hitchhikers. Even in the most, like, how about this, okay? It's like fucking 10 degrees outside. I slide off into a ditch and wreck my vehicle because of snow and I'm walking home and somebody doesn't pick me up because I'm a hitchhiker. I would understand after watching this movie. It's like, yeah, I probably might come off a little weird. And they're just like, let's pick him up. And then the Franklin's one biggest protest, he's going to smell like the meat plant or meat factory.
Smell like the slaughterhouse.
I'm just like, have you guys just like... And the dude does a really good job playing like hitchhiker. He's like, you know, it's all twitchy and shit.
Yeah.
And he kind of reminds me of Adam Driver, the way he kind of looked.
Oh,
You know, kind of tall, lanky with the black hair.
Yeah.
You know. Did you look up the head? Is that a red flip? I don't want to talk about it. We're good.
It's just like a jelly with meat in it. It's not
Okay,
like,
we ain't got to talk about it. It's
okay,
good. Let's just leave it alone.
It's not like, it sounds gross, but it's not even really gross. It's like
A
pretty-
peanut
Okay,
butter
a
and head
jelly
cheese
with
sandwich.
fucking meat in
Yeah,
it.
it's just a meat jelly. You never heard of
Stop.
it?
Mama, can I get one of them peanut butter and head cheese sandwiches?
I want some mayo on that. Just some mayonnaise.
So, one member of the family we haven't really talked about a whole lot is Grandpa Sawyer.
He's a rubber suit. What else is there to talk about?
Well, there's
He's
the one
best
scene.
killer.
Oh my
Later
god. He's like, come on, get her, Grandpa. Get her. And he's just like, keeps dropping the fucking hammer. I'm like, this is fucking great.
He performs fellatio on that finger.
Oh my god. I have no idea what Owen did to our audio levels. I'm coming across as like fucking Andre the Giant going,
Yeah,
"Duh,
you
where?"
just like scream when you talk. You're just like really loud.
I don't mean to scream.
No, I mean it's fine. That's
No,
just-
it's not, man.
that's
You
just
guys are
how
making
it
fun
is.
of me.
Stop whipping it.
All right, I don't like you anymore.
You're gonna turn me into head cheese.
I'm gonna give
Yeah.
you my best invalid voice, okay?
Yeah, I thought the scene where they talk about him being the best killer and it ain't gonna hurt. He'll get you in one swing.
He
And
doesn't.
he can't even hold the freaking hammer or hatchet or whatever that was he was using.
Yeah, it's a little strange, this movie. The whole family's just all fucked up, and it's just like I thought that there would be an actual like a mother in this movie. I think there's a mother in the next movie. I don't know for sure.
Mother.
And then they actually escape from the house. Like they take Hitchhiker's body, and you know, maybe we can watch the second one at some point because it's mainly a dark comedy. But they take Hitchhiker's body and they make him into kind of like a human puppet, and then they go to an abandoned fairgrounds in Texas where they stay because the cops are coming to the house now because of what's happened because
Right.
she's alerted the police and all that stuff like that. And then brother, dad, whatever the fuck you want to call him, he gets blown
Brother
up by a
Dad.
grenade he has. And it's like, okay. And then, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Like the fact that movie came out in like 86, like
Yeah.
12 years after the first one is pretty fucking nuts.
So
Because this
let's
isn't,
talk-
to me, this isn't a classic movie to like, well, we got to keep the legacy going. Like Psycho, Psycho 2 was 22 years later. And
right.
like, this is not like groundbreaking like Psycho.
Let's talk about the
Sorry.
final scene of the movie.
Which one is that? The fellatio
When
scene?
Sally escapes and
When Harry met Sally.
It all happens so fast.
Actually,
yeah,
it fucking takes
very
forever.
yeah, okay. Very fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
She
Oh, yeah,
jumps
sorry.
out of a window for the second time in the film.
Well, hold on one sec. Okay, the whole chase scene, which takes forever in the fucking, I wouldn't even call it woods.
You talking about at night when
Yeah,
when
at night.
Leatherface is chasing her?
Yeah, that whole thing was pretty cool. Like when they finally got to the house, she runs in the house, and he saws up the door, and then later on his brother goes, "Look what he did to the door!" and then she jumps out the top window and shit, and then and then that's when you find out he's part of the family and all that. But the part where she's tied down to the chair that's got the human hands on it, and when they keep going back to Hitchhiker and they're all making the howling noises as she's screaming, but he's acting pretty invalid. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh Lord.
Well, you can keep all this in. It's a PG term. He's acting pretty invalid, and it's like, okay, this is going on too long. But the shots of her, where it keeps it zooms in, every shot's closer to her eyeball, and then the last shot's her eyeball kind of moving around. But that was kind of fucking cool to me. I like that part.
Too long.
Well, her part didn't go on too long. The part showing him, because they kept going back to Hitchhiker and then the brother, they didn't show Leatherface a lot. And that he's just sitting there howling in his Pretty Woman mask. Ooh. But the one guy's he's doing prayer hands and ooh, trying to make fun of her, and then it keeps going back. It looks like it's a loop of the older brother / dad where he's just looking and he's smiling.
Yeah, it looks like he's upset at first, and then he's like, you know what, it is kind of funny.
I just can't take the killing.
Worth noting in this scene too is that they're discussing who's going to actually be the one to kill her. And the cook.
Yeah, the cook.
The cook says, I just can't take no pleasure in killing. And then he looks at her and he's like, what does he say? He says, but some things we have to do, but it don't mean you gotta like it,
When he's yelling at Hitchhiker and Leatherface to go get Grandpa, and he's like, "Didn't you hear me?" And Hitchhiker goes, "Yeah, but it don't mean much." I laughed at that. I ain't gonna lie. The next movie is a dark comedy because Tobe Hooper, whatever the fuck you want to call it. How do you ever say his name? Toby Maguire said that people were missing out on the dark humor of the original movies. Why he made it that way. It feels very much like I'm gonna zig when everybody thinks I'm gonna zag with this movie. He's just trying to be different than that. He didn't want to make it formulaic almost, which.
I feel like you can notice the humor a lot more in this from a modern perspective than.
Yeah, especially on a second watch, it'd probably be even funnier.
So, going back to the final scene when she escapes, she runs down the driveway. It takes forever to get down the driveway, and at first I didn't realize what the hitchhiker was doing. I was thinking, why doesn't he just grab her? Because he's right there, but he's slicing at her. Yeah, gets out in the road. He gets hit by the truck, which we already talked about briefly and how ridiculous it looked.
Yeah. You guys think, Cody, real quick, do you think... Okay, she jumps out the window, and they didn't have any money, so there's probably not a stunt double. And it takes her a hot second to actually get up and start running. Do you think she may have actually hurt herself? Because that's what I kind of felt like.
It's possible.
Because the way she was running, it felt like, okay, her thighs are probably really fucking... They feel like they just got ripped off the bone. Heard that doing that little stunt, and then obviously Hitchhiker is running behind her, but obviously he's not running at full speed. He's just fucking with her. But it feels like the actress may have actually been hurt, and then I don't know. That's the feeling I got. I'm like, ooh, that. I mean, it's just not a huge jump, but if they're doing it one take and they ain't got no stunt doubles, she probably fucked up her legs.
Yeah, who knows?
That's probably why that scene was taking just a little bit longer. And this movie doesn't use a lot of music, but the music that does use is kind of creepy. And this scene didn't actually have any music, unfortunately, because you just hear the chainsaw.
Yeah. So when they're out on the road, the truck driver stops. He gets out. he grabs a wrench. Well, at first, whenever they're running from Leatherface, I thought he was going to get in the truck and drive off without her.
Yeah.
Because he gets up in there and it's he's just nope, I'm out of here.
Why would he just take off and drive? He can't. I understand it's part of the fucking story, but Leatherface can't cut into the truck. He could just take off and drive with the truck.
That's what Stephanie was saying too. It's why didn't they just drive off?
Yeah, he just turns around and runs away, and you don't see him again.
Yeah,
he gets far away.
In the pickup truck. Yeah. He doesn't even get in the pickup truck. He just runs.
Yeah, he just runs the other way, and then Leatherface forgets about him too.
And when the pickup truck stops and Sally gets in and they drive off.
That takes forever for her to get in. That's why I think she's kind of hurt.
Yeah,
the actress,
maybe,
like her trying. Of course, it also feels like that scene, which is not really well done, but she's trying to build the suspense for him to get closer before she gets into the truck.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like Leatherface slows up before he gets up to her, and then does one swipe with the chainsaw because she's taking forever to get into the truck. Like, it was kind of ill-timed between the coordinator.
You could tell it was really complex. Like, there's a lot of things happening. And
Yeah, like a fat guy holding a chainsaw and he's probably fucking tired.
There are a lot of moving parts for a low-budget film, especially, Yeah, so after she's in the truck and they're driving away, she's like, still screaming or whatever at first, and then she starts to laugh, and it's almost like it's either relief that she's finally realizes, hey, I'm getting away from all this,
or she snapped,
which I guess we'll see what they kind of do with her character in the new movie, because I never watched Texas Chainsaw 3D, so I don't know if her character came back in that or not.
Like, the scene is the opening scene of that movie is the cops show up, and I think town people show up, and they shoot all these fucking, like, not fireworks, but like explosives in the house and shoot it up with guns, and the house kind of sets on fire, and everybody burns up but Leatherface. And then he hides away in some mansion, I think in Louisiana, maybe it's also Texas. And is actually, you find out at the end that the main character of Texas spoiler alert, Texas 3D, that the main character is actually Leatherface's cousin, and that there was a rich part of that family, and it's just really fucking convoluted. I mean, it was a weird movie. Like, the 3D part was kind of cool, I thought, but there's a scene where Leatherface helps her kill her ex-boyfriend, and she says, "Go get him, cousin." It's really fucking stupid.
Go get him, cousin.
Come on, go get him.
Slaps him on the ass. Go get him.
But Gunnar Hansen, the guy who played Leatherface, said that Leatherface is a kid, and he was acting in self-defense when these strange people were coming into his house. And that's how he was acting, really. He's not really a bad guy. He's really being abused by everybody in the family. Yeah,
there's that little moment where he's, like, kind of freaking out after he kills the second guy, and he, like, sits down, and he's, like, holding his head.
Yeah, and to me, I read that as him freaking out because so many people are showing up, and he's kind of, like, slipping up a little bit,
Or people like going to discover him, and because his brother's like.
Nah, I didn't read it as. I read it as like he doesn't like to kill the people. He's just like, shit. Why is there so many?
Well, the thing, I think he looks at him as like meat when he kills him, because it's part of the business. He knows what he's doing. He's the butcher. He's cutting shit up. But the thing is, like, his brother or dad.
You know what you're doing, you big ugly fuck.
Yeah, but he yells at Hitchhiker. He goes, "You're not supposed to leave your brother alone. You know that," and all that kind of stuff. So it feels very much like an invalid brother that you're not supposed to leave at home. A lot of invalid people in this movie.
So, Lance,
yes,
you already said it earlier in the episode, but you would recommend this movie, right?
Yeah, it's only 83 minutes, and it's not. I mean, I think it's enjoyable, actually. If you've never seen it before, I think it's like worth a watch if you like scary movies. It like we had discussed earlier, it is better than The Evil Dead, which came out 6 years later. Evil Dead came out in 79, right?
Was it 79 or 81?
I think it was 80 or 81.
I think it was 81.
81, okay. So, I mean, hell, that's 9 years later almost. Oh, 8 years. I can't do math. But, yeah. No, 74. God bless it. That's six.
It's 7 years later.
7 years. I'm an idiot. It's much better than that. Like, the cinematography is good. There are some scenes that do drag, but if you take it for what it is, like, there were no guidelines, there was no slasher genre, there was no really horror genre other than, I mean, hell, like, even in the 70s, they were making the Hammer horror movies, which were like Frankenstein, Dracula. They were doing remakes of those movies in color with Peter Cushing in the 70s. So all that stuff's going on in Europe. This is like a very organic type of movie. You can tell, small budget, and it started something, but it's also like forgotten. Like, whereas Halloween is like more celebrated almost. You look at it like this. I mean, Halloween Kills, Evil Dies Tonight is like, it's in the movie theater, made almost over $100 million. Halloween 2018 made over $200 million. and the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie is being released on Netflix. So 2 of them are like I said, Texas Chainsaw Massacre crawled so Halloween could walk and Friday the 13th could cash in and make all the money. But you can see like where the franchises have went and where they've gone. Like I said, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this new one's coming out on Netflix, so it's a cheap movie, and they're not going to be making any kind of profit off of it. Whereas Halloween still is being celebrated as this like original thing. Where Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this movie is like really forgotten. I think it's pretty good.
All right, Owen, would you recommend this movie?
Yeah, I would. It's a fun watch. Like I said, the set design's really good. The atmosphere's good. Yeah, watch it.
Yeah, and I would also recommend this movie. Kind of just repeating what Lance said. Some of the scenes do drag on. That's sort of a thing I think with a lot of horror movies in the 70s and early 80s. Just who can forget the scene in Friday the 13th of the guy riding his bicycle all the way back into town before they finally cut away from him?
Well, I don't think they had much story on that, so that's why they did that scene.
Otherwise, it is a good movie. It's got some interesting characters. I do like the mystery around the family. Before, I'm sure later movies they kind of do what a lot of horror movie sequels do, where they expand upon what and it kind of lessens the mystique of everything. But so our next movie is going to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the new 2022 film, releasing on Netflix on February 18th of 2022. And yeah, so I'm sure that Owen doesn't have his next movie picked out.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Cody, so let me ask you something.
Yeah.
On a scale of like 1 to 10, 10 being the Batman, and 1 being Wonder Woman 84.
10 being 10 and 1 being 1.
How excited are you for the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie? I haven't seen the trailer yet.
I'd probably say a 7.
So Batman vs Superman Standard Edition.
I started watching the trailer when they finally put it out, and I watched like the first few seconds, and I turned the trailer off. I was like, I don't want to see any of this. I just want to go in completely. I don't want to know any of these scenes because I don't want the trailer to ruin anything. So I'm at least excited enough for that, like just to be in that way. But we'll see. I know that this franchise has been hit or miss over the years. So
mainly miss. I don't know. It's kind of weird, man. It's like it went from being, like I said, a forebearer to a dollar bin movie at Walmart. Almost, and it's just kind of weird. Like I said, like I said, I never watched Leatherface. I don't think Leatherface made like $2 million at the box office, and that was 4 years after the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D movie came out. That made a good chunk of change. It made quite a few millions of dollars. I think it's like in the $50 million or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like this it's just kind of weird. And I know that it's just kind of weird. And it's also sad. Like I said, this movie started like in its own way the craze of slasher movies. Well, the remake of it in 2003 started the remake of all the slasher movies. So this thing has always come first, and now it's pretty much forgotten. It's like Hellraiser now is like this direct to video like franchise, and that's what's kind of happened to this too. So
yeah. Well, we'll see in a couple weeks what happens with it, but I think that's it for this episode.
Next episode on Dragon Ball Z. Anyway, I guess just remember, everybody, if you want to sit there and insult somebody, just call them invalid. Don't sit there and give me that. It's funny.
Nasty fucking Texas.
Nasty fucking Texas.
Follow us on Twitter at FilmoscopyPod.
Or don't. You probably don't want to. We just retweet a lot. Hey, actually, real quick.
We make political tweets.
We actually have got quite a few retweets like just from this thing called Podcast Overlord. But anyway,
smash that subscribe button. Don't just press it. Smash it.
Hey guys,
like it's a
and
2008
also give us
YouTube
5
video.
stars. I follow us on Spotify now, and I gave myself 5 stars. You should give us 5 stars too.
Yeah,
Don't give me that.
Send it to
And
the
it-
mail.
And then give yourself a pat on the back for being such a good listener.
And then also send us a Washington Commander jersey because there's a bunch of stars on that too.
And rub your belly and then tap your head at the same time.
Why are you rubbing my belly right now?
Oh, put my finger in your belly button.
Everybody, you have
next
a good rest
time.
tonight.
Don't pick up hitchhikers.